Alright, fuckers and fuckettes. Now, when you're doing wire harnesses, it's good to take your time and do it right. And I've noticed on some of these connectors that are coming from Honda, these are just some anodized ass shit. And I've been getting these from Aircraft Spruce, and they're a good, nice silver connector. So what I do is I buy the cheap ones for the boots, because this is the wrong end actually. Let's just compare the same end to same end. I like the boots from the genuine Honda ones better, so that's what I use. And I end up having to buy two sets of connectors to do that. I'm pretty sure I could probably find a wire place that would, make me up a custom order, but I bet you it would cost me 3 or 4 times as much to do that. But when you use these bullet connectors, even though they press together, solder them up. Take that little extra time. Because what happens if you don't solder them up is a couple of years later, some old fucker like me buys the bike and all the connections are corroded where they hit each other. Back one's a bitch with these. I've got the right tool for the back one, but I only got to make 2 connections on this, and it'd take me an hour to find my goddamn other set of crimpers. Probably longer than that. I cleaned up a little bit last night. In the process, I organized everything. So chances of me finding anything now are slim to none, and I just fucked up putting that connector on there without having the boot on first. Beautiful thing about seeing this live, folks, you can see the redneck fuck up before you can see all the fuck ups as they happen. Yeah, that's it. Let's put this son of a bitch on there. I'm going to do it after I've got it soldered. I'm not. I guess I'm committed now. Let's see if I can't squeeze this on there. I've got them nippers right there. I can just cut this son of a bitch off and start over again. See, just like this right here. And now, I don't normally use this when I'm doing one-off shit, 1 or 2 wires, but if you're doing a harness, this is the handiest damn tool you can have. You got to strip 30 or 40 wires before you put them in a cannon plug, or even 7 or 8 before you put them in a connector. And fucking things are handy. They're made by Greenlee. I think Klein makes them too. Not sure who makes these. I think it's Betts that makes these crimpers. These I just like because they're pretty universal. Get that wing together a little bit first. There we go. Now it'll cooperate. 1, 2 there. Make sure your coating is back in them wings, because them 2 wings on the back are supposed to be what holds your shit together. I just did it again, didn't I? Thankfully. Alright. 3rd time's a charm, they say. It's one of them mornings. They had that boat parade out here last night, so I was out here till 8:30, 9 o'clock before I even went home. I just don't trust that many people around this many tools and electronics and there we go, that one's in. And that one's grabbing the red shit. Just barely, but it's grabbing it. Somewhere around here there's a roll of solder. Yeah, it's over there. Fell off the end of my iron. Of course, now last night was a good night to have the security cams on. I'm not really into that sort of thing. I prefer the real deal, but I mean, you know, I ain't gonna complain about some free porno. In fact, I'm half considering anonymously uploading it to the most embarrassing porn site I can think of, but I'm not really that kind of an asshole, but you know, you just can't help but have them thoughts. Like, would I make money off this? I think you'd have to have actors releases or some shit like that for something like that. I don't know. Actually, they are my cameras. I do own the media, and they were in a public place. Well, within the public view, because that's private property across the street there. If you're wondering why my cameras pick up across the street, well, nobody ever bothered aiming them real good. There we go, that sucker's together. And I need to pop this end. This time I'm going to be smarter than that. No shrink wrap required on these, but in case you're wondering, I was out of red wire this morning. So what I did is I brought that chunk right there that I'm using. Fucking, what the hell is that? It's either CB or CM 500. I just cut a few pieces out of the harness so I could do what I needed to do. I like it out here Sunday mornings. It's all quiet until someone else like me turns on the stereo. shot with the iron. And by the way, when you're soldering up your connections, don't heat your wire, heat your piece. I can try and exaggerate that point for you, but don't be heating directly on your solder. Heat your wire or your piece, whatever you're soldering to. Touch it a little bit to the iron to get it started maybe sometimes. Depends on if the wind's blowing or not. See, now I can touch way the hell up here and it'll wick all into that shit by capillary action. Get it to stay where I need it. Get where I got a little pressure on it. Kidding, that ain't gonna fucking happen. Alright, we're gonna do this the old-fashioned way. By the way, the state of California has determined that lead-based solder might cause cancer or some shit. I don't live in California. I live in Florida. You gotta hold it with your mouth to get it done, and that's what you do. That sumbitch is filled up with some solder. And the wire's done wicked up some up in there, so I'm good to go. Now, here's the part where, if it's your bike and you're actually going to ride it, you need to be doing this shit. Or at least having it done by somebody. Don't just put wire nuts and shit on there, and don't just crimp connectors on there. You want to do the shit right, and you want to do it once. And the reason I put my cones backwards on when I put these on, I'll show you in a second. Now, if it's a connection that I know is going to have to be apart more than once, I won't do this. Now I can just twist it. Alright, now what that does is the cone is going like this, and the grip is up around it enough to where just that by itself is going to hold it in a little bit more than if I had the cone the right way and just poking in. Let me see if I can illustrate this. Yeah, if I put it in like that, yeah, that's a nice waterproof seal. If I put it in like this, not only do I have a waterproof seal, it's not as likely to want to come apart. I mean, I'll have to actually pull on that to get it apart. Whereas this way, and jam that sumbitch on there all I want, it's coming right out. But I figure fuel pump's critical enough to pull the backwards trick. Those little connectors do shake loose, especially when you got it up under shit like this. Alright, we'll holler at y'all fuckers and fuckettes later, and for the guy who's out there going, man, I ain't doing that on all them connections in my bike. Well, I think you're an idiot, because if you're going to keep it for years and years and years, part of being able to enjoy it is doing shit just once and not having to do it over and over and over every couple of years. And it might have took me an extra couple of minutes per wire to solder that shit up. But in the end, I've got a 20-year connection instead of a connection that's going to be corroded in 2 years. And quite frankly, that's what I'd rather have. Alright, we'll holler at y'all fuckers and fuckettes later.